Everybody, welcome to the live broadcast of the Cheese Talk podcast. I'm your host, Brian Drago, and today I'm joined by George, aka Hot Take City. Some big news up here in Green Bay within the last 24 hours. If you didn't know, the Packers extended Jordan Love, highest paid player in history so far. But before I get to the George and the contract talk, I want to give a shout out to the Open Network for giving me the umbrella to do the podcast. They are 12 followers away on Twitter from giving away a Jair Alexander 8x10 autographed picture. So that's Ohana_Packers. George, what do you think about the news within the last 24 hours here in Green Bay?
I like it. I mean, my thing is the QB market is destroyed and it's not just the Packers, it's just anything. I mean, look at the Dak situation. He's looking for a $60 million contract, a year also. So I like it for the Packers. I think they found their future in Jordan Love. But I also think that, they've got to do something about this QB market.
Yeah, because eventually the QB is going to take all the money.
Exactly.
And you're not going to be able to sign any talent at all.
The latest news I heard, a couple months ago was the NFL was trying to push for QB not to be part of the dead cap or the cap space. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how far they're all with that.
Yeah, it's crazy when you start to see, your receivers make, it's just the yearly rate that they're making is just crazy, and it's just going to take away from the whole team as a whole, and you're going to start. And you get quarterbacks that are like the Daniel Joneses of the NFL that, people are saying, well, what did Jordan Love? He had half a good year last year. Does he really deserve the money? What do you think?
So my thing is, if he doesn't win that game in Dallas in the playoffs, does he get that contract? That's the biggest question. And, and I heard that from someone else today, and it's a good point. It really is a good point. Does he really get that contract if he doesn't win, against Dallas? But I think he gets that contract either now or at the end of this year anyways, whether it's, that amount of money. But I still think he gets a contract. I still think they believe in Jordan Love to be their future. Now, whether it's that much, for winning that game or losing that game, that's what, the give and takes are of that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the Dallas game sure helps. It shows what he can do in big games, what he's capable of doing. And I just think, we all knew it was going to happen, just a matter of when and how much. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was waiting for Tua to get his contract to see what he could be like. Hey, look, Tua's making this. What are you going to give me?
Well, think about it this way. I mean, the Packers, have a tough schedule coming up. So they want to make sure, they're playing a bunch of playoff teams this year. So they want to make sure that they're locked in and ready to go for the season. So they want to make sure all their main guys are signed and ready to move on to training camp and to OTAs and preseason. You know what I'm saying? So I can see why they wanted to get it done and, quickly. So it definitely does make sense getting it done now than wait until the end of the season.
Yeah, it was funny seeing people not so much panic, but you couldn't scroll a few news feeds without seeing people saying, "Oh, the better. Today's the perfect day to have Jordan Love sign the contract. Today's the perfect day. Today's the perfect day." Like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's the first day in pads. You guys, we have to see him in pads. He has to be in pads tomorrow, or But I mean, I get it. People want to see him on the field, but at the same time, he's looking out for himself too.
No, I definitely get it. I definitely understand. I mean, I understand he's looking out for. Sorry, just sharing the link on X. I definitely understand. The concern of making sure he's there for the off season, and because I'm a big believer of him being young, his receivers being young. They're going to be able to grow together. And I like that about the Packers, compared to some of the other teams that, brought in a quarterback after they had a wide receiver or, brought in wide receivers after they had a quarterback. You know,
Right.
look at the Giants situation. I mean, we're on year 6 of Daniel Jones. They finally bring him, you know, quote unquote, a true alpha wide receiver 1 and Neighbors. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We should have did that his second year. You know what I mean?
Right. Who was that that I was watching on X that was overthrowing the running back out of the backfield?
That was Daniel Jones.
Was it Daniel Jones?
Yeah, we're on year 6. We're on year 6 of the same nonsense. Trust me, I know.
It's just crazy.
Thing, though, but also, you know, watching the Hard Knocks the last month or 3 weeks, we learned a lot. And what I mean by that is the first 2 or 3 years that our GM has been there, the owners had a step into everything they did. And now that this year, I feel like watching the Hard Knocks, the owners have stepped back and let the GM do what he needs to do. But that's the problem with the Cowboys. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones is invested in everything. He's not letting anything go unless he says, you know, the final word on it. So I think that's why the Giants are going with the direction that they're going with and trying to build a complete team than to, you know, put all their eggs in one basket. And because I don't think Daniel Jones is there after this year. And I think the owners are going to give the GM and the coach one more year. Go get your quarterback, pick who you want from the draft, and we'll go from there.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing, you know.
Speaking of the Cowboys, what do you think about what they have going on there? Are they going to pay Dak or let him go?
So I was just literally watching a Cowboy stream before we got on the here because it was one of my friends, and I was telling him, if you let one go, you let Dak go. CD is a QB heaven position. And what I mean by that is any QB would love to throw the ball to CD Lamb. So you bring in a rookie, they're going to be like, oh, CD Lamb's my number 1. I'm going to enjoy that. Our defense is decent. I'm enjoying that. All I got to do is just throw the ball.
Right.
I don't have to physically carry the team by myself and put the team on my back. I just got to get the ball to my playmakers. So if I'm Jerry Jones and Dak doesn't want to take just a little bit of a pay cut just to help sign these other players on these teams, I'm letting them go.
Yeah, there's enough talent. There's enough talent out there in the backup position that, or even in the free agent market, you could probably get a decent arm in there to get the ball to the receivers. I mean, you know, they made it to the pros for a reason.
Exactly. I mean, Trey Lance, I think that, you know, if he's given the right opportunity with the right team, I think he can do, you know, his serviceable job. I mean, Cooper Rush also, when he stepped in, last year or 2 years ago, no turnovers in like the 6 games that he played.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there's a serviceable enough quarterback out there to take Dak's position if they don't re-sign Zach.
Yeah, because, I mean, you want to have Parsons and you want to have CD on your team. I mean, a quarterback, for some, I mean, in most cases are a dime a dozen. You know, every few teams get that, you know, that really good quarterback. But I mean, the Cowboys, I mean, I think, like you said, Trey Lance, if he's given I mean, who knows what he can do with.
My thing is, though, is look at Dak, you know, great regular season quarterback. You know, he tends to fall off in the playoffs. Everyone knows that. You can't put her on the team because it starts with the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So do you want to pay him 5 years or 4 years, $60 million a year to keep having that same, you know, scenario? Now, I'm not saying that it's 100% on Dak by all means. I mean, Jerry Jones is a big part of that, you know, but it's the same, you know, you're going to keep repeating the same process over and over again. So do you want to continue with that process, or do you want to move on and maybe find someone that's able to, you know, like a Jordan Love that's able to just go into the Cowboys and, you know, win and beat them, or like a CJ Stroud that, you know, first playoff game, rookie year, beats, you know, one of, if not the best, you know, defense of last year, the Browns. You know what I mean? Right. So, I mean, there's big questions in Dallas that, you know, Jerry Jones and crew needs to figure out, because at the end of the day, I'd rather keep CD and Parsons.
Yeah. Speaking of the Browns, what do you feel about them as far as getting Deshaun Watson back, I guess?
That's that you want to talk about messed up QB market. That's who messed up the QB market, getting that guaranteed money and missing almost 2 years of play and time and just getting money for no reason. That's your guy.
The thing that I for what he was being accused of, obviously is wrong. And then for him to come, I don't know. I saw a quote. I mean, how quotes circulate around Twitter or X if they're made up or whatever. But he's saying that he's something about dealing with a bunch of the bullshit. I mean, it's like he's the one that caused it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, is like when you're a celebrity or you're an athlete or you're a big time known well person in the world and everyone knows you, you have a target on your back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could blow your nose. You could blow your nose the wrong way, and it's going to be on 17 different news channels. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you gotta, as a celebrity or an athlete or someone like that, you gotta be careful in your actions. I mean, everyone knows that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's my opinion on it. But as far as him playing football, a lot of people on a high on him this year, man. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I mean, Jerry Jeudy coming in is a big help, but I just don't see Deshaun Watson, being that, Houston Texan Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, him and Hopkins had a special connection back then, and it's just ever since he got traded, he's proven to be nothing so far. I mean, like you said, he's been hurt for 2 years, and from what I've heard from Packers camp, though, to try to turn the page here is Eric Stokes is stepping up. He's looking good as a CB too.
I mean, you have an All-Pro in Jair, so most teams only have one true wide receiver one. You'll get your a couple teams that, I mean, as long as Stokes is serviceable and can keep his feet in front of him and keep the guy in front of him, then you got a better defense than 50% of the league, and and your defense is solid.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, it was just Pratt and Clifford, so we'll see the true test when Jordan Love comes up, and embarrasses the defense.
Going against that offense with those different weapons, I mean, also all depending on Christian Watson's injuries. I see him having a good year this year, Christian Watson. I still think he's the number one guy in Green Bay. But I'm looking forward to Jalen Reed stepping up and taking that number one spot from Christian Watson. So
yeah, that's definitely, he sure did shine last year. I mean, he was that gadget player that we had in motion, and he was what we were looking for when we drafted Amari Rodgers, and then we finally got him. And I can keep these young core receivers together. It's going to be something special this next year in Green Bay.
It does. I mean, that's the thing we talked about last time.
Yep.
These wide receivers want to stay together and they want to win championships. You got to do what you got to do for your team. I'm not telling you can't go get yours, but also make sure it's friendly enough to keep your young core group together. So, I mean, that's me in my eyes. As if I was a QB, I'm going to do what Tom Brady did. I'm going to take this, I'm going to still get my money, but I'm not going to take max contracts and not be able to sign other players. I mean, that's why Tom Brady won 7 rings.
Right.
Because his defense was always top 10.
It was for sure. And that's one thing that he pretty much has a blueprint of how to be successful right in the wide open for everyone to look at. But some people get too greedy and want, all this money, and then they wonder why they don't have a ring or no successes, because they take away money to bring in the talent and the help.
Exactly.
Kind of changing pace here. What do you think of just trying to think here of how to phrase it, the dream team, the USA basketball? What do you think about, what gets me is, why did it take this long for these stars to step up and want to play for Team USA? I mean, you've had like Durant and James in the past do it, but all of a sudden you got Steph Curry. He's how old? This is his first dream team. What has happened to USA basketball over the years?
I want to say 2 years ago, I think in the FIBA tournament, it was all the young ones, like all G League players and all players that were like under 25, and they got smacked.
Right.
And a lot of the other countries were talking smack about like, oh, USA it fell off. They're not, not good at basketball no more, blah, blah, blah. So with all these older heads in the league, they were like, all right, let's go into the Olympics and let's show these boys who the real, stars of the NBA are and who USA really is. So that's where all these other players stepped up and they were like, all right, let's go play for USA and let's go win a gold medal and bring it back home. So, but as far as, some of them, I don't think some of them should have made it. I personally don't think so. They were good enough, but I don't know who else was there that they were able to bring to that team. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And just watching Joel Embiid looks confused out there. And I mean, LeBron being the oldest one out there, he looks to be the superior alpha male out there. They're saying with Curry, with the 3-point line being closer, he should be on fire from out there. Yeah, Anthony Edwards, I just think I want to see Durant play not hurt. I want to see him get in there healthy. I think he's one of the best pure shooters in the NBA. I saw Giannis had 34 points.
Mm-hmm. Giannis had 34 for Canada. RJ Barrett and Shai Alexander had 22 plus. There's a lot of competition out there nowadays. I mean, we're not talking about 4 or 5 NBA stars on different countries. We're talking almost close to 20, 25 NBA stars on different countries. So it's going to be tough this year. It really is.
I was telling my kids, it's like Europe is like catching up and they're playing basketball in my eyes the way it's supposed to be played.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't separated by 1 or 2 stars.
I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I was like, well, think about it this way. USA loses, they come back to America, they're like, okay, we got the NBA, no big deal, whatever, we lost. These kids in other countries, they fight for this position. Like, you got to be the best in your whole country to make the Olympics for basketball. You know what I'm saying? So they're practicing all year long. They're playing with each other all year long, different tournaments, different leagues. So, when you bring USA together, this is really, the first time that all these superstars played together. But these other countries been playing this league, the FIBA league, and, together for years,
Yeah.
So
I was watching that one last exhibition game with Germany before they left for the Olympics, and the USA won by a point. And like I said, it came up to LeBron making the last bucket to go up by 1, and then they held Germany in the last possession. But like, my kids are like, oh my god, I can't believe USA is going to lose. It's like the rest of the world is catching up to USA, and they've been playing together longer.
It's bad. I mean, not bad. It's good for them, but it's bad for the USA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Like, obviously, Joel Embiid, he gained citizenship with USA because he was from where he was
from. So he could play with France, and he could play with South Sudan. He has 3 citizenships: one for America, one for France, and one for South Sudan.
Yeah, it was South Sudan that it was them that I was.
The 1 point.
Like 101 to 100. But yeah, it's like just seeing Joel Embiid. I guess he could have played, anywhere else, but he chose to play for USA, which I think is kind of cool.
Listen, as a Knicks fan, I don't like Embiid, so I can care less if he played for America or not. So.
Well, the Knicks, they're going to be good this next year. They got they made some moves, and the Milwaukee Bucks not so much. Who they get? They got
Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, they got is that Villanova
Yep, the Villanova.
2.0?
Yep.
It's crazy. I wish the Bucks would never let DiVincenzo go.
I'm surprised Golden State let him go.
Yeah,
After losing Jordan Poole the year before. You know what I'm saying?
right. That's crazy.
But it
And
all
then,
depends. It all depends on the system you play in. Also, though, they're those three. They're used to playing with each other, so they know how to play. You know what I mean? So now adding Mikal Bridges, they combined together won that national championship, so they all know how each other play. So it also depends on the system too.
yeah, I just remember watching DiVincenzo in the last year's playoffs, and he was just on fire from downtown. Like I'm like, every time he drove to the basket or took a three and he made it, I'm like, oh, the Bucks, so dumb. But you get to a certain point, I think, and you get that ego, and it's like, well, if I'm not gonna be the star here, or not even so much the star, or make my money here, I'm gonna go somewhere else to make my money. And then you see the Bucks, trade Drew Holiday to get Dame, which I don't even know what to think of that anymore. I wish the Bucks would have kept Dame.
I almost wore my Milwaukee Brewers jersey for you, but then when the Knicks made that trade today, I was like, all right, put my Yankee jersey on. But I mean, the Bucks, man, they still have Giannis though. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're still going to be competitor. Giannis make the coaches or managers go get another superstar or at least role players to bring to that team. Giannis is you're looking at top 5 players for the NBA. He's up there right now. In the NBA right now. I mean, you've got three of them from outside the USA. In the top 5. So, and then Giannis is going to be tough competition for USA. I mean, yes, tomorrow at 12, USA plays Jokic in Siberia tomorrow at 12:15 or 11:15. So Eastern time. So, it's tough competition out there, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be back when you had. I think back and watching like Vince Carter dunk over that dude. I mean, you just had Vince and Kobe and Garnett and
everyone's saying that the competition nowadays is harder than the '92 Dream Team, which is right. I'm not going to tell you no, but the '92 Dream Team. I mean, you had like legends on that team. That I think that would beat in their prime would beat the NBA stars nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you get the new ones that say that the '92 team is they didn't have any defense playing against them and this and that. And
well, that's the thing. I mean, I understand that concept, but they also went undefeated and didn't lose by one. I mean, didn't win by 1 point. They were demolishing teams.
Yeah.
So
do you? I was reading, or did I hear? I think I heard something about Jordan. They had to put like in his contract that he couldn't go and play pickup basketball at the local park.
Yeah, they do that. They do that for some of the athletes. I know. Who was it? The guy that y'all just signed, Xavier McKinney.
Yeah.
When 2 years ago, when he hurt his hand before we played in the playoffs, or last year, or 2 years ago, before we played in the playoffs, they were out there in wherever they were, riding 4-wheelers and ATVs and stuff like that, and he broke his hand or fingers. I read right after that some of the players, the team, depending on how powerful you are, not powerful, how superstar you are to the team, and how, if you're a top 5 player, some of them in their contract, the owners and the GM make them sign a contract and said no outside activities that can risk injuries to you. So I don't see a problem with it because you're paying them all this money to, play for your team. So I definitely don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, well, same thing back when Kellen Winslow crashes crotch rocket, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they have I mean, it's just, I guess when you make such an investment like that, you don't want your top priorities to go out and jeopardize from winning.
Look at the Jordan Addison situation. Teams have a Uber service for you to get back to where you're going. You know, and Jordan Addison didn't do it. Henry Ruggs didn't do it. Henry Ruggs sitting in jail for almost life now. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not utilizing the situations that they have around them. Use your resources. I mean, you know, we understand you're young. You know, most of y'all are younger than me. You know, I'm only 31. You know, so I know a lot of these up and coming athletes are younger than me, but use your resources. Use, you know, what's around you. Ask for help. Don't just take a stuff upon yourself and go do something stupid like, you know, these younger kids are.
Yeah. Who was that Cowboy player? Was it Josh Brent? When he got in that accident and he didn't help get that girl out of the burning car?
I know it was a Cowboy player. I'm not sure about the name, so I don't want to.
Yeah. Right. I think it was something like Josh Brent or something like that. But anyways,
I know exactly what you're talking about. So
it's just, I mean, you make all this money, and why don't you have someone driving you around?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And people just take the risk, and they risk it all, you know. And like Henry Ruggs is a good example. You know, it's just the video of him and his girl just sitting on the curb watching whatever, and it's crazy. Have you played NCAA 25 yet?
No, so I'm upset that I can't get it on my PC, and I'm not going to buy a console. So whenever it comes out on PC, I guess I'll get it and play it.
I haven't gotten it yet. I'm thinking about getting it, but I don't really have time right now. I got my youngest boy starting football, so I'll be busy with that. And my oldest boy is in club soccer, so he's be doing that. So we're going to be running different directions every day of the week.
Yeah, my son just started tackle football for the first time. He played 3 seasons of flag, but he just started tackle, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, both my boys are on the same soccer team, well, the same rec league, and we had a end of the year tournament today out in the sun. You know, I don't even know what the temperature was. It was in the mid 80s, humid as hell and hot. You know, I don't like being out in that weather. I know you're used to it where you are, but I'm not used to it. I don't like it.
I hate it. I hate it too. So you ain't got to tell me. I hate it too.
I just can't wait till it's about 60, 65 and overcast. It's perfect for me.
Well, here right now, it's what, 9:30 over here, or my time, and it's still 80 degrees, as warm as 87 out right now. So,
yeah, 75 here. No, wait, yeah. But any other big news going on in the sports world? I know we got the Olympics going on. I think the girls' women's basketball is just going to crush it for the USA.
I think so too. I mean, just waiting for football, man. Just really waiting for football.
Yeah.
I mean, it's once football starts, the world's going to be a lot better.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I haven't felt this excited for the Packers season because, you know, going into last year is our first year without Aaron Rodgers. So we kind of had faith in Jordan Love, but to the extent of you go on that roller coaster where we got to win so many games and make the playoffs. This has to happen for us to make the playoffs. And you make I think the perfect game to get me super excited for this year is just thinking back to the Cowboys game last year.
Yeah.
And thinking about the improvements that we've made since last year in the offseason and in the draft to try and knock off a team like the 49ers. I think it's going to be San Francisco at 1 in the NFC. I think it's going to be either the Packers or the Lions at number 2. I think the Packers are going to not so much turn heads this year, but just build off of what they had last year.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I personally think the Lions win the division. And the only reason why I think the Lions win the division, because I think they have not better players than the Packers, but, you know, when you have a guy like Amon St. Brown, you know, that's one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league.
Right.
So I think that, you know, that little bit makes a difference. I mean, Sam Laporta makes a little bit of a difference also. The other thing, against Musgrave or Kraft, I think there's, you know, going to be 2 studs in the NFL. eventually, but Laporta, emerged quicker. St. Brown emerged quicker to be a top position in the league. So I personally think the Lions win the NFC. Actually, to be honest
Okay.
with you, even just the division, I think they're the number one seed this year. I definitely see the Packers going to the playoffs, though. The only ones that are really, I think the Eagles lock up the East. San Fran locks up their division. I mean, the only really division that's really under wishy-washy is that Seattle division. No, not Seattle. Yeah, Seattle division with the Rams, the Cardinals.
Niners.
Oh no, not that one. What's the other one?
The South. Buccaneers.
Yeah, the Buccaneers. That's
Saints.
the only one that's really a question in the air on who wins that division. I mean, I like the Saints to win. I think, they got better all around. But, I mean, the Falcons were Kirk Cousins. I don't know. It's just there's too many question marks in that division.
Yeah, it's, we all sit here and obviously we give our opinions, but, then someone's going to go and surprise the hell out of us and
Yeah,
we're going to feel foolish, but.
Well, just like last year, no one had the Texans doing what they did. And
right.
Look what happened. No one had the Packers doing what they did. Look what they did,
Yeah.
So the question is now, do they get better or do they get worse? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers, you mean?
Or Packers or the Texans, either one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Do they get better?
Well, I mean, the Texans will have Tank Dell coming back. They missed him at the end of last year because he got hurt.
But they still have a bad O-line. They did nothing to fix that O-line.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, I look at the Packers. Obviously, I'm going to be biased, but I mean, our run defense killed us last year. And I think by switching coordinators and drafting who we drafted and just even with the pass game with getting McKinney over Darnell Savage, I think it's a huge upgrade.
Well, it is an upgrade because McKinney is one of those guys that, can sit in the back and one-on-one coverage and not have to worry about, putting someone else back there with him. With Jair Alexander, watching one outside and, you put McKinney over the top, that whole side is locked down. You don't have to worry about that side.
Yeah.
Or flipping them and putting McKinney on the opposite side, that backside is locked down. So it just all depends on how they run it and how they play it. I mean, I haven't really paid attention. Have y'all signed any middle linebackers or D linemen?
No, we kept pretty much in-house. Middle linebackers, we got Eric. Was it Eric Wilson that had that? He had the recovery. We didn't really sign much for that I'm aware of anything else out of what we had last year. So I think we pretty much stayed the same. We just got heavy on the safeties in the draft, and a couple linebackers in the draft, and see where it goes from there. I
mean, a top position like a safety like McKinney, or if you just sign, Alexander being a top position like that, it definitely makes a difference on your defense, and it builds the hype around the other players that are also on that defense. So, I mean, it could work out. Your defense could definitely be better this year with adding McKinney and a couple of safeties in the draft. So
yeah, and they extended Kenny Clark too.
Yeah, I did see that.
I think one of my other podcasts, I joke, but to me, it feels like he's been on the team for like I said before, like 90 years. It seems like Kenny Clark's been on the team forever, but this is, I think, his third deal with the Packers.
Oh, that's good though.
Third contract, and it's good that he sees faith and he sees success. So I mean, it's good that he ain't jumping to a different team because we'd surely miss him in the middle.
I wish I seen faith and success in my Giants, but it is what it is.
You still where do you think the Giants finish this year?
I'm still at the same, about 7. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, and this might be fit my name perfectly, and I honestly think that defense makes up for. I think like I said last time, I really think our defense is definitely better this year than last year. So, with Brian Burns, I mean, I was watching some training camp stuff, and Brian Burns is beating our best tackle than Andrew Thomas. You know, a couple years ago, you know, without injuries, he was an All-Pro. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I know he's healthy because he was healthy last year towards the end of the year. So, and you know, there's no reports of him being hurt. But who's surprising me though is the guy we got from the Raiders, offensive tackle Jerome Flubador. These names are crazy, but I like him a lot. He's been going up against Brian Burns and him been, you know, they say iron sharps iron. So I like that matchup a lot. I think I'm not saying we're gonna have a top 10 offensive line by all means. We still need a lot of work. We got a gap in the guard position depending on what they do with the two signees that we had. Robert or Bob Tunyon Jr., the guy from the Packers. He's been looking nice, you know, on that O line. And we also got the O line coach from the Raiders. I mean, the last 3 teams he's been with, all his O line's been top 10, which I know our O line is in shambles right now. But if, you know, he had the Raiders O line last year as a top 10, I think he can make our O line a little special.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like you said, you never know. Like they say, any given Sunday, it's kind of funny. I was just thinking of hearing about Rashawn Gary talking trash and how he's looking in camp. He's looking like he's going to be a monster. Like they have him playing like the defensive end position in some of the formations. And I've been saying that for the last couple of years. They should put him down in the defensive end position like he was in college, and you know, have him go out there just destroying people. And he's walking back from the play, and he's talking smack to the offensive line. And he just keeps on chirping and chirping and chirping.
That's what you need, though. I mean, that's what you need to build. You know, I'm not saying fight with your own guys by all means, but that's what you need to, you know, get in your guy's head, make them want to work harder, make them want to be that starter. You know.
Yeah. And then you see the video of the Jets today, the fight at their camp.
No, I did not.
It's always fun seeing those training camp fights. It's hilarious.
Well, and a lot of people always hype up the training camp videos. Like people are hyping up that Patrick Mahomes to Xavier Worthy, you know, 75-yard bomb. All right, so we know Xavier Worthy's fast already from the combine, and we know Patrick Mahomes has an arm.
Yeah.
So obviously that's going to happen. It's training camp.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm so tired of the training camp hype because look what happened last year with Kadarius Toney, prime example. Okay, the Giants traded him. Oh, you know, half a season with the Chiefs and then big off season. Like, oh yeah, Kadarius Toney is going to be great. His speed, blah blah blah. And then where was he the whole season? Nowhere.
Right.
You know, he had one play in the Super Bowl against the Eagles 2 years ago. That was it. We haven't heard anything from him since.
Right. So, and then I reposted a Caleb Williams. Was it Caleb Williams? Video, and a mutual posted like a comment, something like, "Oh, yeah, no defense. A high school quarterback could have made that throw." And it's just funny to see like some of the stances people take. And even like it was a Caleb Williams was like on a rollout to the left, and he made like a crossbody throw to a guy diving out of bounds, and he caught it. And they're like, "Oh, there's only 2 quarterbacks that can make that pass, you know, successful." And someone commented like Mahomes, you know, Jordan Love, this person and that person and this person and this person, they can all make that throw. You know, I just can't wait to see the Bears just in shambles. being a Packer fan and being at rivals with, well, not rival because, like I said, we beat them 10 games in a row, but being the big brother to the Bears and seeing them like totally be on like a dumpster fire is like so hilarious to me. And obviously, just the way they run their organization. I still think it's dumb what they did with Justin Fields. They should have brought in Marvin Harrison Jr. and left Fields there. Why don't you get rid of the problem that can't coach a quarterback? You guys haven't been successful coaching having a quarterback for how many years in a row? I mean, I could go back. I have it written down in a book, like since like 1990, all the quarterbacks that the Bears have had through the years that have been starters or whatever, and we've had Favre, Rodgers, and Jordan Love, and in 30 plus years. You know, something's got to be done. I mean, take accountability for the coaches and maybe bring somebody new in, because what you're doing in Chicago isn't working for you.
I've talked to a couple of Bears fans, and their problem is the same thing as the Cowboys' problem. Is I think their vice president or whoever is the son to the owner, and the owner is like 90-year-old woman.
McCaskey's?
Yeah. So like it's the same issue. Like, just give up the power and let the team run how it's supposed to run, So,
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Fields, I think, is still a great quarterback in the league. I like Justin Fields a lot. I think he has a lot of upside. And with Russell Wilson news coming out about his calf.
That's what the video was. I posted a video of Fields throwing to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, no defensive pass rush."
With Russell Wilson news coming out about his hammy, I hope Justin Fields gets that job and never loses that job.
Same here.
Because Justin Fields, I mean, and not to bring up fandom, but it's the same thing with Daniel Jones. Justin Fields was never given that opportunity. He never had a real weapon. Yeah, he had DJ Moore, but look what they've done for Caleb Williams, bringing in Keenan Allen, DJ Moore now, DeAndre Swift,
Rome Odunze,
so they're bringing them weapons. Well, why didn't you do that for Justin Fields? Why? Because you didn't want to pay him. So in 5 years or 4 years, when Caleb Williams, wants a contract, you got to do the same thing again.
They'll just dump him off to the side because he won't be any good.
Even if but I'm saying though, even if he is good, in 5 years, are you not going to re-sign him?
Even like, it's just funny to go back and look at how long they kept Jay Cutler around.
Mm-hmm. Because they thought Jay Cutler was, the best quarterback ever.
Yeah, and they give up. I mean, it's just, I don't know. The way they run their organization just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the problem is like the Giants too. The Giants kept Eli Manning 3 years longer than they had to.
Right.
If they didn't keep Eli those last 3 years, we could have been sitting with, a Dak or, or a Patrick Mahomes, someone like that.
Right.
There's reports of Ben McAdoo coming out when Patrick Mahomes came out and said, I want to draft him, and the owners shut him down. So imagine Patrick Mahomes on the Giants.
Yeah.
5 years from, now. What could have happened?
Yeah. There's even talk about the Bears they could have had Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. And then look at the same draft that Daniel Jones came out. 20 picks later, Josh Allen. But no, the Giants want to take Daniel Jones at 6. The man wasn't even projected for the 3rd round.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's just
something changes.
Some of these guys with their money and power, I just don't know. They think because they have money and power, what they say is going to be the best solution. When I don't know, you can't put yourself in their shoes, but I guess at the same time, as a fan, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
It's even like going back to the whole. I don't know. I guess I was reading that Aaron Rodgers reached out to Jordan Love and congratulated him last night after the contract, and that's cool and everything. But I mean, you go back to trying to think like, what do you think Aaron was thinking when they drafted Jordan Love? I mean, obviously he knew he was pissed off, and
he was pissed off, but they were
poured a glass of scotch, and
I've seen articles of them saying that Aaron Rodgers did what Brett Favre didn't do for him. I don't know if you've seen reports of that or not.
Yep.
I don't know if it's true or not, obviously, but I've seen reports saying that Brett Favre never showed Rodgers the ropes, and Rodgers showed Love the ropes. So, I always felt like, Rodgers might have been bad, with the organization,
right?
But never really took it out on Love and showed Love, how to be a successful quarterback in this league.
Yep.
No matter what Rodgers does, I don't care what he does off the field. On the field and his prime, he's still considered a top 5 quarterback to
absolutely
ever play, the sport. So
I'd love to see the Jets just take the NFC or the AFC this year. I think it'd be awesome.
Oh, I would love to see it too. But that's what Tom Brady was doing also. He
Yep.
went to a different team and told the world, go F yourselves. I'm not a system quarterback. I'll show you how
Yeah.
to win with a different team.
Right.
So, that's what Aaron Rodgers wanted to do. And I think that's what Brett Favre wanted to do, but just Brett Favre was way past his prime, So I think Aaron Rodgers definitely has the opportunity to do that with the Jets this year.
Well, and Brett Favre, he wanted to go right to Minnesota, but
Yeah.
they made it so he couldn't, and then he still wanted to get back at the Packers, try to get back at them twice a year. So
Mhm.
he eventually ended up in Minnesota. But did I ever tell you the story about his house in Green Bay?
No.
What I've read stories, multiple stories about when he sold his house in Green Bay, there was a can of paint in the basement that was the color was potential purple. And I always linked it to the Vikings, and I thought that was kind of funny. That's the team that he ended up going to in the long run, and
Didn't he win a playoff game with the Vikings?
I believe so. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, because he was in that
He was in
bounty
NFC,
gate
wasn't he? In
against
NFC?
the Saints
Yeah, that's right.
when they
It
had
was-
that bounty out on quarterbacks.
That was the year the Saints won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So they were in NFC Championship against the Saints. Then.
Yep. But yeah, yeah, I mean, at some point he's got to move on.
I mean, you got to. Don't get me wrong, but if you feel comfortable with who you have, you need to pay him. You have to pay him. That's what the Packers did with Love. That's what the Dolphins did with Tua. It's another one we really didn't talk about, but I don't think Tua was worth it. But if you feel comfortable with him, you got to ride with him.
The thing with Tua, I'm glad he got his money because after the debacle the Dolphins had with his concussions,
that was bad.
He's gonna in the future he's gonna need that money because I mean they botched that big time.
Oh yeah, I mean what was it? Three concussions in a matter of like 2 weeks span.
Yeah, and they knew it and left him. I mean, they left him out there. I mean, he had the video of his fingers coming up all weird, and it's just like, man, you had to feel bad for him. It's just. But he's gonna need that money and every bit of it because down the road he's gonna have complications from that big time. I think.
Who else got paid? Trevor Lawrence got paid $55 million. I mean,
yeah.
Do I think they're worth it? Have they shown anything what to do in the playoffs? No, they haven't. But if you feel comfortable with your guy, you want him to be your future, you have to sign him. That's what the market is.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah. Well, look at how Matt Flynn fleeced the Seahawks.
Yeah.
He had one good game for the Packers, playing fair and playing in a game, whatever, and he threw I think he threw the record for touchdowns in the game for the Packers. I think he threw 6. And then he goes to be a quarterback for the Seahawks, making all this money. Didn't end up really playing that much, but I mean that's something I think that a lot of these teams are missing. I mean, you have a successful quarterback, and they don't really put too much into their backup quarterbacks to be the successor. I think that's one of the things the Packers do that a lot of their teams can't figure out how to do it is draft that guy to sit behind the starter, a successful starter for 3-4 years, and then bring him in. I mean, I'll go back to. I'm sure we talked about this before with Justin Fields. I mean, he was a star in college, and you bring him into the NFL and throw him right in the starting position. Maybe he needed a year or two to sit, and get him in there right away. And it's But
also though, it's just like with the JJ McCarthy situation. I feel like if you're going to draft a quarterback that high of a draft pick, especially in the top 10,
right,
you have to expect them to go in and be your starter. Unless, you have like an older head that's been with the team for a long time. Like if the Packers would have drafted Jordan Love in the top 10 with Aaron Rodgers. So that's, pretty much telling you that,
see ya.
Yeah, pretty much,
Yep.
Or they could go the other route, and tell them, listen, I want you to show this guy. We know you're getting ready to retire in a couple years. Like if Rodgers would have never wanted to leave, and wanted to stay on the Packers. And he was like in his last 2 years of his contract, and he was retiring after that. You drafted Jordan Love and, a top 10, you tell him, hey, sit behind Rodgers for 2 years, and then you become our star, and you can learn everything from him. So, like, those are the two opportunities I see. But when the Vikings drafted J.J. McCarthy, he's sitting behind Sam Darnold. who's So,
hey, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
I get it, but what I'm saying is, you drafted him with the 7th, I think, overall pick or 8th overall pick, whatever it was, and you got him sitting behind Sam Darnold. So why not just start him and let him? I mean, listen, JJ McCarthy is probably in the best situation a quarterback could be drafted in. Okay.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, number 1 wide receiver in the league. Jordan Addison, an up-and-coming star. TJ Hawkinson. You have an Aaron Jones that is a decent enough runner. Yeah, his injuries, blah, 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 whatever. But you have Aaron Jones. You have Ty Chandler. That offense is good. You're just a quarterback away. So why not take that draft capital that you spent a 9th or 8th overall on and start him? But no, you have him sitting behind Sam Darnold.
How long you think that'll last for, though?
4 weeks max.
Yeah. Right.
So why not start him from the beginning and let him take first-team reps?
It's not like you have a Kirk Cousins for him to sit behind and learn from. You got Sam Darnold.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So what the Bears doing are with Caleb Williams, you drafted him first overall. He's your starter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like with the Falcons, they drafted Micah Penix with the 8th overall pick. Instead of going to get, offensive line help or defensive line help, no, you drafted Michael Penix because you think Kirk Cousins is going to last another 2 years and Michael Penix is going to take over. But Michael Penix is already 28 years old or 25 years old, one of the oldest quarterbacks to come up.
Yeah.
So how long do you think he's going to last? And
right.
You're the same cycle. So.
Yeah, you're going to be paying him a bunch of money, then you're going to be able to have him for like one contract, and he's going to be retired, and then you start all over again.
Exactly. So if you were confident Kirk Cousins, I mean, he just got medically cleared. I don't know if he's football cleared, but I know he's medically cleared. So if you had confidence in him coming back, Kirk Cousins at least got 3 years. So why not draft one next year? Younger one, and make him sit behind Kirk Cousins for 2 years and let him learn. Listen, Kirk Cousins, number-wise, has been a top 10 quarterback for the last 12 years or 10 years he's been in the league besides 1 year. So his numbers are good. Prime time, not so good. Playoffs, not so good. But number-wise, he is good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He can throw the ball. So
he just needs to get over that hump, into the playoffs and stuff, but he again, I mean, when I think of Kirk Cousins on the Vikings, I always think of those like Clay Matthews bullshit roughing the passer. What's roughing the passer, what isn't, because you call him from both angles. You know what I'm saying? And the one roughing the passer cost us the game against him because the one was picked off by Jair Alexander, but they called it back. It's like, come on, man. But he's a solid quarterback. He has been in the league for a while, and I don't see why the Vikings got rid of him, to be honest. I mean, he's done nothing but good things for the organization, and as far as being a consistent quarterback.
I think it was a mutual agreement on both sides. I don't think the Vikings wanted him back, and I don't think he wanted to go back because I think he wanted a contract, and they didn't want to give him such a high contract with him being on the older side, coming off an Achilles tear. So I can see both sides, because it is a business at the end of the day, so I can see both sides. But
doesn't he have like 18 kids?
No.
Which quarterback is that?
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers. I know.
Well, Tyreek Hill now has like 9 kids too, so. He's got a kid for every 1,000 yards he has.
It's crazy. 15 years he's going to be broke as hell, and he's going to be, I don't know. I mean, to be a fly in the wall in some of these management meetings is got to be.
I would love to.
Crazy.
I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Just do you see that comment?
Yeah, I see it.
I have 5 kids, Joe. Back off.
I mean, I have 2, so
we were only supposed to have 2 kids, but it ended up being 5. So it's
hey man, listen, kids are great.
I always say the first two were girls. The wife knew deep down I wanted to have a boy, so we tried again, and I had back-to-back boys, and then we had a girl at the end. So
well, there you go.
I'm outnumbered, but hey, you know.
At the end of the day, she got you back for having back-to-back boys.
The crazy thing about that story is, so the first 2, I don't know if I can't remember if I told you this or not, but we found out with the first 2 what the sex was, and they're both girls. And then the next 2 we didn't find out what the sex was, and they're both boys. And the last one we found out what the sex was, and it was a girl. So it's crazy how the ones that we didn't find out were boys, and the ones that we did find out were girls. That's crazy how that worked out. But
any of them twins, or they're all separate?
They're all separate.
Oh, okay.
My boys are like a year apart from each other.
Okay.
So I have my oldest has got her temps.
Yeah, no, because my uncle, he had 2 twin boys, 2 twin girls, and then a single girl at the end. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, no, twins. My wife has twin cousins, so it was in the chances, but we didn't have. I thought it would have been cool to have twins, but we didn't have twins. So we call my boys my Irish twins, though, because they're a year apart, and people always mistake them when they're younger. People always mistake them for being twins.
That works.
So, yeah, haha, Joel, good one.
Oh, going back to that quarterback situation before you move on, look at Geno Smith. He was a journeyman. Went from the Jets, the Giants, the Chargers. I mean, not Chargers. And then took over the Seahawks and became a starting quarterback for the Seahawks. So I mean, anything's possible. Really, it really is anything possible.
Like you said, though, it depends on what situation you're put in, what offense you're running, and the coaches you have. If you have coaches that can coach up a quarterback, the outcome is going to be good versus going to an organization that's known for not coaching up their quarterbacks, and instead of getting rid of the coaches, they get rid of the player who has the potential at 24, 25 years old, instead of getting rid of a coach that's, obviously not doing his job.
Well, they said Brian Daboll, can coach up a quarterback, because of the history he had. He had, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, like 2 of the Alabama boys, and Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. But, I haven't seen it with Daniel Jones yet, so I don't know what's going on with there. But
yeah,
so
that's crazy.
and he had Josh Allen for 2 years. So what's going on, Daboll?
And then you talk about that. Then you have Mike McCarthy, who had Aaron Rodgers. Then he goes to Dak Prescott. I mean, 2 good quarterbacks. Rodgers got you a ring, and Dak is looking like he's not going to be in a team in the future. So
everybody thought it was Mike McCarthy's fault. It's really not his fault. It's Jerry Jones's fault. It really is Jerry Jones' fault.
Because he doesn't want it's a power struggle.
Did you watch the press conference the other day?
No, but I saw him in their sunglasses. I obviously Cowboy Red is always
that's where that comment came from earlier about what we were talking about when I said I was just watching a podcast. I was watching his podcast before I joined yours.
Yep.
And and we talk about it all the time. And he was and quote unquote from him, he goes, I mean, they're just sitting there with the sunglasses, and Mike McCarthy's just sitting there all quiet, listening to Jerry Jones speak. I thought it was a press conference, about, the team, not Jerry Jones. And I was dying laughing.
Oh, Roger's a good shit, man.
Oh yeah, I love Red. I love her.
And
He's a great
I've had him on a few times, and he's a good guy. It's funny, just and he's obviously he's very knowledgeable about
very
football and
knowledgeable.
everything. It's
Very
awesome.
knowledgeable. I mean, his history and his knowledge about just football in general, not even the Cowboys, is phenomenal.
Yeah. See, I'm more like I see outside news that don't look too much into it, but like the Packers, I consider myself fairly knowledgeable about what's going on in the organization and my thoughts and everything. And yeah, and the thing is, it'd be nice to make it a training camp, but it's just getting the oomph to get up and just be around a bunch of great. I mean, yeah, I'm like 10 minutes away, but I just don't want
to me, I would love to see training camp, but I'm watching on my phone. I'm not going to go sit in the sun and sweat my ass off.
I've been to one training camp, and that was the year they had Vince Young as a backup, the Packers, and that was back when I think I wasn't living in Detroit yet. That was 15, 16 years ago, and that was like when they had like AJ Hawk and Nick Barnett and was it Charles Woodson, and so I got to see the guys I wanted to see in life, and I just I'm a diehard fan, but being around I don't know, it'd be cool to do like a walk and talk and go and like talk to people like who their favorite players and this and that, but it's just being around that people, you just get that anxiety. Like I said, I'd rather just see the news from home and talk.
Well, for you, to go to training camp, it's exciting. For me to go to training camp, one, I have to fly to Jersey, but I'm not doing all that to go watch the Giants. Training camp, not doing that.
Oh yeah, maybe I'll make it down one of these days, but I got a lot going on, so it's.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
that's it, that I don't go.
Family, always comes first before anything like that, obviously. But it's always nice to experience and live a little bit of life too, though. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we're hitting our limit here, George. I got kids I got to put to bed. We've been out in the sun all day, and
I'm about to go to bed myself.
They're getting a little squirrely upstairs. I can hear them. Right, Riley? You getting squirrely? Yeah. I appreciate you being on tonight. I think I have you on the last Saturday of next month too.
I'll be there.
You'll be there, and then I'll try to have you on once or twice a month, maybe once a month. We've talked.
You know where to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I appreciate you being on and breaking things down. And next, just trying to see here. Next, we'll have you on the end of next
August. Yeah, August.
End of August, and then we'll have some training camp to talk about because we'll have preseason games and all that.
Listen, this coming up Thursday is the first game of football, baby. We back.
Yeah, we're back, and Twitter's going to be hopping.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we won't see the stars, but at least it's something. Jesus.
We'll see future stars. Well, but what I'm really looking forward to, I mean, I know we're going and everything, but I'm looking forward to Marshawn Lloyd for the Packers. I honestly think, A, it was a steal to draft him where they drafted him, but B, I think he's going to be the successor to Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs goes down, it's Marshawn Lloyd's job to keep.
Yeah, and then they have Emmanuel Wilson. He has speed, but they got AJ Dillon too. He's coming back leaner than ever. Yeah, and I think he's gonna be. They're gonna do big things in that backfield. I think this year. Yeah. So,
well, I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have you on, like I said, end of the end of August. And appreciate you coming on. And go Pack Go. And what's the Giants slogan?
No idea. No
idea.
No.
Hashtag no idea.
But I know it's their 100th season, so I know they're going to come out with something soon. So
yeah, Packers celebrated 100 years a few years ago.
Yeah.
So
Giants are one of the crazy longest histories besides the Packers and the Bears in the league. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, look forward to talking to you and going over some hopefully some good news in the NFL. And hopefully we see some positive things from the Packers and from the Giants.
Yes, sir.
All righty. All right. You have a good night, George. Thanks again.
Good night. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Sounds good.
Daddy, can tell you something? So do you know how Marionette and Cat Noel got their powers?